Yo, peoples.
Hey,
By
guys.
the way, Jaden doesn't know how it counts. He was holding up 4 fingers.
Yeah, I was. Guys, I've had 3 hours. I've had 3 hours of sleep in the last 4 days.
This is a destroyed group, but we love each other, so we're managing through it.
Okay, question 7. This was to stretch your creativity muscle a little bit.
Good.
An idea for a clan.
Like Vanguard clan?
Yeah, a Vanguard clan. I was thinking something around ice.
Yeah, exactly. Because the Magella.
We have fire, we have water, we have lightning. We don't have ice.
We don't have ice, and I love ice. It's always cool. Not just in the pun
Or
sense,
go
but
with
it's
green
cool.
and people for the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no Sky Clan.
Yeah.
Either.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that'd be cool.
And green only has 3 clans.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly,
Yeah.
Ice is probably the only one that doesn't have anything relating to it. Besides Ice Person Necromancer Cocytus, and there's no even ice in the picture or anything.
Yeah.
So I can't count that. So yeah, that's the only one that hasn't had a touch of ice in it.
Sky.
Yeah. Well, Sky, they have a lot of flying knights and stuff like that, and Kagro rules over the sky. They kind of are, but
It
they're
has
really
Narukami as backup.
And they have Narukami as backup. But it's not like they're like sky castles or anything like that, where these actual winged knights or something like that. But then there's... Oh, wait, there's Angel Feather, too.
Oh, yeah, there's Angel.
Well, yeah, but they're more like the people on Earth that tend to the weak. What about something like Valkyries?
That would be pretty cool.
That'd be
Like Valkyries. There's an idea. I'd like to see maybe some Valkyries.
Yeah, or maybe even
that
just...
like gold.
Yeah, well, actually, there is some... Now that I think about it. I was thinking also maybe a mythology kind of clan.
There you go.
Yeah, like... It could be
Education a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, we have some branching into mostly gold, but they could be anywhere. Really, I don't know.
Mythology, FTW.
Yep, exactly.
All right, guys, here's another one. An easy tip to make yourself a better card fight Vanguard player right now.
What?
Right now.
An easy tip to make a tip that can make someone a better Vanguard player right now. My best piece of advice, guys, is do not rush.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So many players, they attack, guard. They don't take any time to think
Consider what's about to happen.
Yeah.
and they get themselves into a hole, and then it's like, well, if you just would have thought a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's my best piece, is just take your time, think.
I understand. Yeah. It's kind of like chess in the same way, too, because you have to think about it ahead of time. I mean, it's not as hard as chess, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, by any stretch.
But you gotta think. Especially you don't want to play down like cards like triggers, for instance. You don't want to do them, let's say, actually make little difference. Like if you put down a draw trigger for a booster, that's fine. You can understand
It
that.
happens.
A heal trigger, though, maybe not. Maybe not.
No heals.
Draw triggers are the one exception because they're
yeah.
5Ks.
Yeah.
Now, I've thrown down heal triggers in this before, but only if I know, A, if I have the other extra copy of Raging Form in my hand and I need to sack bait, and 2, if I'm going to win.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, there are some situations that are okay, but it needs to be a sure thing.
Zane would disagree with me on this, but take a damage or 2.
Yeah, Zane, this guy, he'll guard everything. He guards everything.
I do. And it does show results. I mean, of course, if you're not taking damage, you can't die. I mean, that's true. But then you lose your hand.
You can't do anything.
I'm not complaining, or
Right.
I'm not going to judge your playstyle because you
No.
win more games than you lose.
Yeah.
So it's like, who am I to judge how you play if you're winning?
My playstyle has changed over the year, but it's
effective.
It's shown results, yeah.
And as
I
they
gotta
say, why fix what ain't broke?
Exactly. To fix you right now, I wouldn't know what to say about that, honestly. The way I usually train is I just have 2 decks out, and I just play myself constantly. Just get an idea of what your deck does, and also...
You also have to know what stuns it.
Yeah, exactly. And also, pushing your opponent to the absolute limit when you can see all the cards in their hand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like Zane actually knows how to pretty effectively kill my Great Nature deck.
Well, considering he does play Seal Dragons, and Great Nature needs a field presence.
I kind of fix that little situation.
I kind of destroy my field presence every turn.
Exactly. You end up no field.
Well, there'll be a little more consistency coming soon.
Yeah.
All right, guys. All right. Which is better, aggro or control? See, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure there's a definitive answer to this, guys. Yeah. It differs from player to player. In case you're wondering, aggro is a complete full force attack.
Yeah.
You're just trying to beat your opponent's brains in as quickly as possible and win the game. Control, on the other hand, is when you're trying to take away your opponent's options.
Right.
Limit their ideas, limit their moves until they're literally left with nothing.
Exactly.
But I mean, what do you think you are? I mean, do you think you're? I think you're more control.
Yeah.
Now, see, here's the thing. I do want to go into a little spiel on this one. All right, so originally I would say, yeah, I was probably more of a control player. I was more of able to deal with what my deck can do or manage what my opponent's doing, which is a good play style to have. Don't get me wrong. Nowadays, I think it's probably more left to Link Joker because they're more control of in the sense that you don't have much you can do on your turn anyway.
If they're locking it.
Right. Now, having said that, control, really handy, really good and stuff. Aggro, I think now I'm more of an aggro player because in my mentality, and I'll freely share this, the more cards you play and the more attacks you do, I mean, the more cards your opponent has to guard with, if anything, if they're going to guard. And no matter what, they're either losing cards or going down really far in their damage to the point where your field's already set up and you can make back your hand and all the time that you have all your whole field already gone, already ready to fight for you.
Yeah.
So in a sense, aggro can be really good too, but control can be really amazing as well. It's really how you want to play it. If you want to trick somebody into winning, like especially with like OTT, that was one of the best control decks I would say.
Yeah,
because
easy.
Especially with Silent Tom, that was the main thing. People were like, so
Silent Tom was the win condition for that deck.
So people would be like, okay, so I'm attacking. I have Silent Tom in the rear guard, and you say 2 to pass. I get a trigger. Tom's gonna get it. You're gonna get a trigger. Tom's gonna get it. I don't mind. And they're
Boost
like,
him with an 8K, so now he's at 26, and he might have a crit on him as well.
Yeah, and so people are like, okay, this isn't gonna be too bad. I'm just gonna, drop these 2 just in case. I'm kind of boned now.
Yeah.
And it's those little moments that control players really strive for.
Yes.
Those moments when they're like, I really can't do anything.
Which goes exactly back to the don't rush.
Occasionally, I will actually ask like how much each column is doing.
Exactly.
And plan out my guard accordingly.
Well, that's a smart move, guys. That's a good
Right.
point. You have the right to know what your opponent's columns are before they start their attack.
Or if there's any abilities that mind to manipulate.
Yeah. Now, keep in mind, if you don't know what the ability is and you do not ask, it is not your opponent's responsibility. We've talked about this before. For them to say, hey, if the end hits you, then I get to counterblast to Persona Blast and stand back up. Because if he does that and you're like, well, you didn't tell me that, well, it's not my responsibility. You can't raid. Yeah. That's exactly what your opponent
How am I
will
to
say.
know what information you had prior to this fight?
So, my best piece of advice that way is if you have a question, ask. Because your opponent has to share it with you honestly. And if he doesn't know, then you can ask a judge, you can ask someone around you, or you can consult the Wikia.
Especially in Vanguard, just feel free to ask questions. It's a very important time during the fight. You don't want to go back afterwards and go like, what did I do wrong?
Yes.
You want to know what you could have done and what didn't go right on your turn stuff so you can learn firsthand.
And see, I found sometimes whenever I record a match, I always rewatch it, mainly to make sure it took good. But I also watch my moves, and I think, okay, why did I do that?
Yeah. Why
did I make
what was
this
my motivation at this time?
Yeah, I mean, because before you make any move, ask yourself, what am I trying to accomplish? Am I playing this card just to play it, or am I trying to do something here?
Right.
Because if you find yourself saying too many times, I'm playing it just to play it, you're getting on the edge of you're just playing with fire.
Right.
Because eventually you're going to be playing with nothing. And you're just going to be taking a lot of attacks.
And again, as we mentioned before, your hand is very important. If you're not saving it, you're having some issues later.
We talked about the hand advantage, guys, in this game. In Yu-Gi-Oh, we rated it on about a 6 on a 10 scale. In Vanguard, 90. It's about a 90.
Yeah.
Because the second you lose hand advantage, you're taking damage, and you're basically gambling on triggers. And triggers don't always save you. Yeah, we've all been saved by a heal trigger. Yeah, we've been saved because we pulled a crit for the 5th and was able to guard the rest. I mean, but
the game would be too hard to play if they didn't exist, the triggers. So you will have to count on them at some points, but if you don't have to, it's not.
Oh, God. All right, guys.
Can you imagine us with high voices?
All right, Glendon. He's back with helium. All right, Glendon. Let's hear your best Alvin and the Chipmunk impression.
Yeah.
I need something to open them.
Well, I don't have nails.
Untie it. Oh,
I bite them.
I got kind of.
Yeah, just bite into him.
I bite it.
I'm gonna laugh when he bites into it. It just explodes in his face.
We're talking about this right now, and while we're talking about it, we're just about to hear.
But while he's doing that, we'll jump into our next question.
Excellent.
Question number 10. One match for all the marbles. Aichi versus Kai.
Okay.
Who wins?
Hello. How are you guys?
I feel slightly more furry now.
Yeah. You're drunk. You're drunk, Glendon.
Yeah.
You're drunk. You're drunk, Glendon. Go home.
Yeah.
You're drunk. Go home. So who wins in a match for all the marbles? Kai or Aichi?
In a TV show sense, Aichi. In a reality fight, probably Kai. He's got a lot more training than Aichi.
What fight?
Aichi has more experience.
Okay, the question was Aichi versus Kai for all the marbles. Who wins?
Right, but then again, you haven't seen much of the series either. So, alpha guess. What would you say?
Off of a guess.
Yeah.
Well,
Let's hear. From what I've heard, Aichi's pretty good.
Oh gosh.
Hello.
wow.
It's like listening to a mermaid.
I'm on heel. You can't see me. I was on heel.
We can hear you.
Yeah.
But
you can hear me, but you can't see me.
It's so weird.
I agree. I think in the TV show they'd give it to Aichi.
Yeah, because he's worked at it all this time. He's the underdog that's rose up to the top and is amazing in the show. Favors him a lot because he gets all the special powers and everything like
Except this season.
that. Except this season.
However, I think if they were going to be fighting in a,
Hi guys. Nope.
I think if they were going to be fighting in a regular setting,
I think the fans are gonna probably want us to do that at some point. Just want to do.
yeah. I've never been able to do it.
Okay.
I've tried.
I don't think
Sorry, guys.
There we go.
In a non-TV show base though.
Yeah.
Kai would win.
I think so too.
Because the second he busted out vague, Aichi, your stupid Psyqualia won't save you this time.
It's like, oh yeah, well I know how to beat you. Well, how are you gonna beat me when you can't do anything about me?
And Death Heal.
Fuck your Psyqualia. I got
Exactly.
high qualia.
Yeah.
Kai's amazing.
Or in the words of Vegeta, I'm just gonna stay here and keep being awesome.
There you go.
Okay, and then here's a couple more questions that I was emailed actually this morning. Question 11. Thoughts on other card games by Bushiroad?
Thoughts on other card games
By Bushiroad. So
Okay,
you got your
I
White
have-
Shorts and Buddy Fight.
I have played all 3 games,
Yeah.
and my opinion on White Schwartz, it's more of a luck-based game than it is really strategy. It's somewhat strategy, but it's all right. So, like, what happens is there's kind of triggers in the game. There's only 8 in the deck, though. You take damage into a clock, which is like your damage zone. Every 7 damage, every time you get to 7 in your clock, you take one of them and you put them into your level zone. Then you can start calling things of that grade or lower.
By the way, to explain the clock, it takes time to level up.
It sure does, yeah.
Yeah.
This is called the clock for. But anyway, so if you, when you get dealt damage, no matter what attack is happening, as long as you have damage on you, you can do damage to somebody. But let's say I can deal force damage to somebody right off the bat. If they get a climax at any point, which is the trigger of that, it's instantly all that damage that was about to happen is gone.
Yeah.
And after your deck runs out, you shuffle your discard pile back into a deck, and then you start over again with only 1 damage of unpreventable.
Well, I've tried.
So-
I had someone teach me White Shorts at TNT.
Yeah.
It wasn't for me.
Yeah.
The artwork's amazing.
I like the idea.
It was a nice
to play
idea.
with your enemy.
I think the problem is Vanguard. Maybe Bushiroad got a little greedy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because Vanguard really, they hit it out of the park.
They did.
Because they
Started with a top game.
and
got nowhere else to
they
go but
pounced
there.
right at the time where Yu-Gi-Oh was losing a little bit of its popularity
Yeah,
here in the
they got-
States. They wanted to try White Shorts,
Oh, yeah.
you know, and it didn't take. And now they're trying Buddy Fight. Buddy Fight, I'd say it's doing better than White Shorts, but not by much. I mean, it's because Vanguard is just so popular.
Right. Yeah, Buddy Fight's the opposite for the record.
It's the
Fight
right.
fight is for like, if you want a quick like 5-10 minute game.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really short.
And with not as much of this.
Yeah, it's entertaining. I'll give it that. White Schwartz, not so much. It feels like the deck is playing itself, in my opinion, because everything you do is very mechanic. It's like, okay, this is attacking, it's doing this much damage, check. Okay, it's doing that much damage. And then you just handle everything from there. White Schwartz, all right. Buddy Fight, pretty decent. Vanguard,
Sorry to cut you
superior.
off. We're going to jump to part 4, guys. Be sure to check it out.